do his presentation.
Good afternoon, respected chairman of the session and respected member of on the dais and the off dais. So today I am going to talk on the carbon neutrality assessment and decarbonization roadmap for chemical industry. And I have chosen this topic. Why? Because at this moment of time, we are working on the decarbonization roadmap. At Indian Chemical Council, we have constituted one task force, Carbon Neutrality Task Force, and there we are working on the carbon neutrality roadmap for the chemical industry. So although we have just have the 2 sessions, and we are working, but some of the work which we have done at the initial level that I shall share with you during this talk. Also, I am also representing Indian Chemical Council in ICCA, Indian International Chemical Council Association, and there also a lot of work going on the roadmap for the carbon neutrality for chemical industry. And the third thing, at UPL, where I am heading globally, environment sustainability, there also just we have released in our sustainability report our roadmap for the carbon neutrality by 2040. So why I thought that let's include those information during this talk, and I feel that maybe that will be useful. So, before starting my talk, this is about my company, UPL. I am heading globally there, environment and sustainability. About the UPL, it is the 5th largest agrochemical in the world, and we are the number 1 among the organics. So, we are world leader in the organics. Also, the another important things for us is that in sustainability, if you see the agrochemical company, then worldwide, our score at Dow Jones Sustainability Index is maximum. We are top among the agrochemical companies. And also, we are the only agrochemical company who is listed in DJSI Sustainability Yearbook. So, this is about UPL. Now, going forward, okay. So, going forward to the topic, I shall cover 4 things. One thing I shall cover on some of the work which has been done at the ICC Carbon Neutrality Task Force. So, that I shall share with you. And then, at present, we have done some present scenario analysis that how the situation of responsible care companies are as far as some of the global framework, sustainability framework is concerned. So that also I shall share. And then one case study of UPL I shall share, how our decarbonization roadmap is there. And then at last, I shall cover some of the environmental reforms which is needed to decrease the carbon emission. Because what I found that it is a time where yes, industry should look on bringing new technology, they should look on setting the science-based target and committing the carbon neutrality, but at the same time, we should also review those regulations who himself is responsible for more carbon emission and adding no value to the environment. So I think some 1-2 case study I shall discuss in this, and that is also very important that we should try to relook on those regulations who are responsible for more and more carbon emission. So this is about the ICC Chemical Council Carbon Neutrality Task Force. So this is a 7-member task force, and recently we have created at Indian Chemical Council, and the main purpose is to make the roadmap for carbon neutrality for chemical industry. Also, some of the support, training we can provide for the carbon neutrality. So what we have done at the initial stage, we have the 2 sittings till now, and we quickly done one survey that when we want carbon neutrality, then some of the global framework we must see, and where the for all chemical company, it was not possible within a small span of time to do the survey, but we have taken first responsible care company. So there are 80 responsible care company, and for them, we have done the survey, and we included that let's see that how many company have sustainability report in the public domain. Also, how many responsible company have calculated their scope 3 emission, how many company have set science-based target, how many company have TCFD report, and how many responsible care company have committed carbon neutrality. And you can see in this slide, you can see the result. The methodology was that from ICC, we have sent one Google survey to all the responsible care companies, and we got the response. Not 100%, but yes, we have covered 100% because with public domain, whatever the information available, that also we search, and then we concluded this percentage. So if you see the sustainability reporting, then you can see the RC company, which number is total 80 number. Responsible care logo holder companies in India are there, and 44% companies have sustainability report. And below that, I have given one comparison about Nifty 50 company. So as you know, Nifty 50 are the 50 largest stock exchange listed company, and there also we have done the survey. So you can see that where the Nifty 50 company just stand in India, and where the responsible care 80 company just stand. So sustainability report 44% responsible care company percentages, and Nifty 50 68%. And if we see the scope 3 emission, then 31% responsible care company have already calculated a scope 3 emissions, and science-based target 15% responsible care company have set science-based target, and TCFD report 14%, and carbon neutrality 14%. So if we see this, then I think we have to work a lot to improve this. And next Sustainability Conclave, I shall again share with you that where we have reached, but our aim is that let's drive from the ICC Carbon Neutrality Task Force and drive in such a way that year over year, when we will come for the Sustainability Conclave, this percentage may go up, and I think must go up. And we will try that let's all these percentage on 5 parameters year over year goes up for the responsible care companies, and as well as a company whole. Maybe next year when I shall come here, then all the chemical company who are member of the ICC, maybe we have result that what is percentage in terms of all these 5 parameters. Now next is a scope 3 emission. I think in morning session also a lot of discussion happened, and as a result you can see that if we look responsible care company, then 31% have disclosed their scope 3 emissions. So mainly if we look on the scope 3 emissions, then we should try to see the scope 1, 2 and 3. And I have given the percentage. This is our UPL percentage. When we did the calculation, then we found that a scope 1 is 19%, and a scope 2 is 5%, and a scope 3 is 76%. But more or less, if you see the other chemical company also, then they fall within this range, 2-3% here or there. So mainly, approximate 75% is the scope 3 emission, and so why we have to see that how we should tackle or what we should do to decrease the scope 3 emission. And scope 1 and scope 2 is in our control because it is within our premises, but scope 3 is from the suppliers, and at UPL we have 5,000 suppliers, and calculating all the scope 3 emission, their emissions constitute as our scope 3 emission. So it was difficult task, but last year we have concluded that, and then we found the result that 76% our emission is scope 3 emission. Now this is about the science-based target. So if we look on responsible care companies, then 15% company have committed science-based target or in process of approval also. And if you see global chemical companies, so globally if we look on the chemical sector, then 71 company have committed and 42 company have already science-based target. And against global, in India, if we see the chemical companies, then the number is 8 who have formally committed, and approved science-based target is only with 4 companies. Then next one is, this is the process of setting science-based target. So this is the mainly science-based target initiative, SBTI, and we have to send all the data of our scope 1, 2, 3, and what will be our target for 15 years, and we must have to follow the trajectory, either 1.5 degrees Celsius or below 2 degrees Celsius. So we have 2 choices, and then the SBTI used to approve the target. And here I have written the name of those company who are the responsible care logo holder, and they have either committed or approved science-based target. So the number is 12 number, and those company name is there in this slide. Now this is about UPL. So we have set our target. One target is the short-term target, another is mid-term target, which is a science-based target, and the long-term target. And we have set target not only for the carbon emission, but we have set the target for the water and waste as well. And if you see the short-term target, then UPL is committed to reduce 25% carbon emission by 2025, 20% water by 2025, and the waste 25% by 2025. And the mid-term target is by 2035, we are committed to reduce 62% carbon, water, and waste. And our long-term target is carbon neutrality by 2040, water neutrality by 2040, and zero hazardous waste to landfill by 2040. So this target we have set, and we have taken one sustainability linked green loan also. So last year, approximately $1.5 billion green loan we have taken based upon these sustainability targets, and those green loans are linked with the performance of achieving these targets. This is a case study. I have just shared UPL. At UPL, we have made the roadmap of carbon neutrality. And similar way, we want to make a roadmap for the entire chemical industry in India. And for that, we are working at ICC in Carbon Neutrality Task Force. So this, you can see here that in 2020, you can see the energy mix, what kind of energy mix we have, and then we set a roadmap that by 2025, how we will change our energy mix, and then 2035, and then 2040. So what here the summary is, I don't want to go into detail because it will take much more time, and my slot is just a 15-minute slot. So what summary I want to convey through this slide is that if we want to achieve the carbon neutrality, then we must have to change our energy mix. And we must have to move toward renewable sources of energy. So today, you say any company, you take any company, then their maximum percentage are based upon fossil fuels. Going forward, we must have to move toward the renewable source of energy. So that's the main summary. There are several data are there. So this is available at our sustainability report also, and detail we have given in UPL Sustainability Report, which is available on UPL website. Now, coming to the last point, where I told in the beginning that yes, there is a need to industry to look on new technology, renewable sources of energy, energy efficient technology. Also, we need to set our target, science-based target to reduce the carbon emission. But also, our suggestion is that government should also look on the regulations. And we found that there are certain regulations which itself is responsible for the more carbon emission. Like one example I have given, deep sea discharge regulation. And today if you see in India, then deep sea discharge standard is more or less same standard what it is for the river discharge standard. So in a river also we allow that 250 ppm COD you can discharge, and in deep sea also we allow 250 ppm to discharge. And if we see the international norms, especially US EPA norm, so if you look at the US EPA norm, they have made different standard for the different mode of discharge. And for deep sea discharge, their standard, you can see in the table, COD, they allow approximately 4,000 ppm. And why they allow? Because I have attached here one of the Cormic's modeling. In deep sea, there happens to be dispersion activity, and because of dispersion and dilution, which is 1500 in our Indian Ocean, and if you apply the Cormic's model, then the 250 ppm COD, if you see, at 1.6 meter distance, it will become 6 ppm. And if you discharge 4,000 ppm, then at 1.6 meter distance, it will become 96 ppm. And that's the reason, if you see the US EPA, they allow more than 4,000 ppm, but our standard saying 250. And why we are saying from the industry that let's look on the regulation, because compare the situation. If even 250 ppm if you see, and 4,000 ppm if you see, there will be nearly 5 times more energy consumption. And it means if we have a stringent discharge condition, then 5 times more carbon emission happen, and that is not going to add any benefit to the environment. So our request is that the Ministry of Environment Forest must look on the deep sea discharge norm, and they must align it with the international standard, especially US EPA standard. Another thing is the ZLD. This is also one of the example that today we are not criticizing ZLD. In some of the situation it is good. If there is no proper discharge system, or if there is a river, then there if government is saying ZLD is mandatory, then good. That industry is ready to do. But today, everywhere, if we mandate it that let's be ZLD, then unnecessarily there will be carbon emission out of this. And the live example is, see the Gujarat coastal area, Bharuch. If you go in Ankleshwar, Panoli and Bharuch area, they have very good deep sea discharge system, and they are treating their effluent, bringing up to 250 ppm and discharging into deep sea. Now, there are several environment clearance recently we got, and in environment clearance condition has been put by the government that maintain the ZLD. So ZLD is mandatory for the chemical industry in those areas. So our